Here is one very important fact that older parents wish they could tell younger parents today. They won't remember. Unfortunately, they won't remember. Those very expensive gifts you bought for them, they won't remember. The big birthday parties, well, those too, they won't remember. The sacrifices you made that cost you an arm and a leg, I mean, those sacrifices that you are very proud about right now, unfortunately, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but they won't remember. No, so here's what they'll remember. They'll remember the parent who showed up to the small things, the minor things, the things we consider not so important. They will remember the promise you kept, even when it was inconvenient. And they will remember the moment you stayed calm while everything around them was falling apart. In the midst of their chaos, they will remember your calmness, your stillness, and the confidence it gave them. Also, they will remember the moments that you wish that they had forgotten. This is the one you should keep an eye on. Every single one of them. Okay, so this is not a list of parenting tips. No. It's actually a warning and also an invitation. So please stay with me. And here's the reason why. Memory doesn't store everything. It stores moments that made you feel something unique, something unusual. And right now, whether you realize it or not, your child is forming a whole lot of memories. They are storing events in a certain database somewhere. If you as a child could store memory and store things, why and what stops your child from remembering? The dangerous part is not the big moments. It's usually the very small moments. It's not the arguments you remember, it's the very quiet things. The moment that just slipped by and almost nobody noticed. But they noticed because it made them feel different. It made them feel a special kind of way. The ones you forgot when you woke up in the morning. But those ones are the ones your child will never forget at all. Not now, not ever. And some of these quiet moments are quite slow and they build slowly. And even as we speak, they are building walls, very thick walls between you and your child. And those walls are building brick by brick, year by year, day by day, until one day the kids are grown and somehow the person standing in front of you is an absolute stranger. My name is Nusa. Some of my friends call me Joe. I'm not a therapist and I have no degree on my wall, but what I have is something that most people will never ever have. I grew up with 14 siblings, yeah. I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 siblings. Yeah, 14. However, I am the only child between my parents. Those are 2 hints I can give you. I hope you can figure out the rest, or maybe I can help you in the future if you stick around. From the time I was little, I had a front row seat to what families can be at its most beautiful stages, at its most beautiful state, and in its most painful state, the most painful days. I watched children in the same house being loved differently, and I noticed everything I felt, everything I saw, and everything I thought could be, but never were. However, I couldn't help it. I stored everything. And I've carried it all of it into becoming the father I am right now. And by the way, I am a father of 2 children, 2 very beautiful children, 2 children that love me, children that I love, and I'm doing my absolute best to give an experience that they deserve to have. Not the experience I never had, because my chance to have that experience is gone, and it has nothing to do with them. I've seen estrangements very close up, and I never want you to. It's not a good experience. It's not a good place to be. It's not something that anybody deserves. Mostly at an age where you should be relaxing and enjoying the fruits of your labor. I didn't say depend on your children, but enjoying their presence and their experience. And today we're going to walk through 10 things that your child will remember forever. I mean, forever. Not 10 tips, not a checklist, but 10 practical things, everyday things that your children could remember forever. So I'll give you number one, the parent who showed up. Showing up isn't just about being physically present. It's about a child scanning a crowd in a school event, at a game, during their graduation, and then finding your face. If you've ever been in such a situation and you see a child smile when they see you, you can tell how priceless that smile is. That moment tells their nervous system something no words ever could. It tells them that they matter. It tells them that they are worth someone's time. And if that someone is you, who they hold in high esteem, that's heaven for them. Children who had a parent consistently show up for them develop a very strong sense of self-worth even when they grow up as adults. And those who didn't spend their childhood having that validation and attention often go to wrong places to find them. And most of the time, they find them, but from places where the standard is very low, where the bar is very low. At that stage of their life, the validation they truly seek is yours. Your presence is never a bonus. Your presence is actually the foundation that they need. Number two, and for this, your child will question their sanity and may even end up in therapy. I'm talking about the apology that never came. Here's a fact. Children have a finely tuned sense of fairness. Immediately they know they see it. So when a parent wrongs a child and never apologizes, the child doesn't just feel hurt. They feel hurt, but that's not all. It doesn't stop there. They feel really confused. It's confusing. Now, they start to question a whole lot of things. They question their own perception of reality. They ask themselves, maybe I deserved it. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I am too sensitive. And when the parent even goes further to actually say that verbally, that you're too sensitive, you're too fragile, then you affirm what they were thinking. Now, that confusion becomes a pattern. Adults who never receive their parents' apology tend to eventually doubt their own judgment. They second guess themselves in relationships, in decisions, in moments that require them to stand up for themselves. And this can be very, very, very damaging. Indeed, it's a disadvantage to them when they grow up and mingle and compete with people who had healthier relationships with their families. The first person who should model accountability to a child, the parent, and apparently in their case, the parent never did. So there's a famous two words that most children need more than you think they do. I'm sorry. They actually cost nothing. People think it costs them their ego, but it doesn't really, if you know yourself. However, it benefits them a great deal. It means the world to them, and it shapes them in ways you can never ever imagine. Your child stopped telling you the truth the day you didn't believe it. And sometimes, a parent never even notices that period ever happened. So point number three, being accused of lying when they told the truth. So here's the fact. When a child tells the truth and he or she is not believed, something breaks in that relationship. Something quiet, however, something permanent, and something very, very deep. And really, the kids, they learn different kind of lessons in the course of every 24 hours. But in this particular scenario, they learn that honesty doesn't protect them. So over time, many stop telling the truth altogether. Not out of defiance, but out of self-protection. Because really, if you can't protect them when they tell the truth, they need protection anyway. So they figure out how to protect themselves. Or worse still, some grow into adults who over-explain themselves in their conversations. They tend to start talking too much because they actually see the need in justifying everything, and they do so desperately, trying to be believed, trying to get validation of some sort. So they do this because they are still fighting a battle that started in their childhood, and they're still trying to convince a parent who isn't even in the room anymore that I'm capable of telling the truth. I'm capable of being a man of my words. Integrity is possible with me. And really, this is a disadvantage. Hence, to remember. Point number 4. Your child learned to suffer in silence because the one person who was supposed to comfort them laughed at them. So number 4 point is being laughed at when they cried. So a child is crying for a reason that doesn't make sense to you, but they know how they felt and they know why it made them cry. Here's a fact of what I discovered. Crying is a child's most honest form of communication. It's not weakness in any way. It's not manipulation. Most parents are surprised when the cry becomes too much. They think it is. It's just the human being's way of saying, I need help right now. And here's a fact. Adults cry too. I know in case with boys, over time, we tell boys, oh, men don't cry, so you should not cry, chin up, man up, stuff like that. But every man, or most men, let me not say every man, many men, when things get so difficult for them, when things get too hard, when they are facing complicated situations, they pull up on their driveway and stay in their cars even for longer. Some shed a tear. Some, the tears roll out physically. Others don't just let it roll out so they don't embarrass themselves because the children might run out and see them on the driveway. Some park by the gas station, not because they want to get gas, but because they just want to take out time to breathe, to cry. Maybe not the normal way we all know people cry, but men do cry, women do cry, adults do cry. So when your child is crying, it's not a common event. I know you've seen them cry so much and it becomes like another cry again, just another cry. And the cry most of the time is annoying. I can't deny, you can't deny. It's really very annoying to see them cry, mostly over nothing. But still, it doesn't give anybody, it doesn't give me, it doesn't give you the reason to mock them, to laugh at them. Best you can do, if you really don't want to get involved in making them feel better, allow them finish their cry. Most often, for mine, this is what they do. They finish crying mostly when they are crying because of something they expected from you or what they requested you didn't give, or something entirely that has nothing to do with you. But when they are crying and they've been able to get over that huge feeling, they still walk back to you. But if you found their tears funny and you've seen comedy in the whole pain that they're expressing, you make it very difficult for them to walk back to you to round up the whole phase that they've just experienced. And that's something parents need to be mindful of, regardless of where you are right now, or the age of your child, or the journey you are with your child. When such emotions and crying reaches a parent and the feedback you give is a laughter or a ridicule, or you actually say to the child, stop crying before I give you something to cry about. Because sometimes some parents get really frustrated and they get aggressive. Again, because I say in the course of 24-hour time, every day in a child's life, the child learns. If your approach is that of aggression, the child learns a very bitter lesson, and that is that their emotion is embarrassing. And then they learn to suppress it. They build walls. And by adulthood, a couple of years later, many of these children become people who cannot cry. They see it as a sign of weakness. They cannot ask for help. They are willing to help other people, but they just cannot ask because it's still inside of them that they cannot afford to be vulnerable, even when they are breaking inside, even when they actually deeply need this help, because that's how they've grown. That is the environment you build for them. And emotional suppression in adults is almost always rooted in a moment exactly like this. We got to do better. We're doing great, but for those of us who know that we still struggle with this, we just need to do what we need to do. That was number 4. Number 5, the night someone came to check on them. Now, this seems small. To a lot of people, they don't even have memories of this ever happening to them in their lives. However, it's not small. It's a big deal. Indeed, it's a big deal. One knock on a bedroom door at night tells a child more about love than every I love you ever say to the child during the day. A parent quietly opening a door at night, and if the child is awake, for the older children, and then asking them if they are okay, then even going further to sit at the edge of the bed in the dark without saying anything. They might actually even be sleeping, but you just say, stay with them, sit on the bed, lay your hands on them, say a prayer over them. They know you've done that. And that moment teaches the child something that their soul needs to hear. Even at the dark, it teaches them that they are not alone. It teaches them that even though they are lying down on the bed physically alone, they are not. And it builds what psychologists call secure attachment, a deep and unshakable belief that the world is safe and that people can be trusted, that you can be trusted. And that love doesn't disappear when the light goes out. It doesn't feel like it's not there anymore when you walk away, because they know though you're walking away and you just put them to bed, you're going to come back at least once in the course of the night. And children who experience this regularly carry a certain amount of calmness into their adulthood. And I mean, the kind of calmness that is almost impossible to rattle. It comes with confidence, it comes with self-belief, because they know that they have a backup and they have backing from home. Now, it costs you about 5 minutes to do this. However, it stays with them for life. Number 6, the promise you kept. Your child is not tracking your income. They are not tracking your sacrifices. They are only tracking your intentions. And even right from the young age, intentions matter. They might not get it clearly, but as they grow older, they start to get it. They start to put one or two together. Now, they are tracking one thing only: whether what comes out of your mouth actually happens, whether you're a man of your word, whether they can rely on you, whether you find corners to avoid responsibilities, or they know that if they ever manage to get you to say the word, it will be done. Children don't measure love in grand gestures. They measure it in the promise you follow through, the promise you keep. And here's the thing: every kept promise tells a child that your expectations of me are worth honoring. You are worth honoring. You are what, I don't want to say sacrificing for. You're worth honoring. Let's stop there. It just tells the child that the child is worth honoring. And every broken promise, especially repeatedly, and every broken promise, especially those we repeatedly break, tells the child that people's words are just noise. Children don't measure love in grand gestures. They measure it in the things we follow through, in the promises we make and keep, in the deals we strike with them, and ensure that we keep our own side of those deals, those bargains. Every kept promise tells a child that your expectations of me are worth honoring. You are worth honoring. And it makes the child in some way feel honorable, makes them feel valued, gives them a sense of self-worth. It gives them a sense of confidence that they have someone that they can rely upon, someone that tries not to fail. You can fail sometimes. But here's the thing: every broken promises, especially the ones that repeat themselves, teaches the child something very dark. It teaches them that people's words can be just noise, and that hoping that it will not lead to disappointment is a huge risk. And so they don't have high expectations of people. And they eventually just conclude that it's safer not to have expectations of anyone. So they try to be by themselves, do whatever they want to do with themselves by themselves, because they trust just themselves. So many adults who struggle with commitment, who self-sabotage in relationships, and who push people away even before they can be let down, are people who have found themselves growing up in homes where promises were not kept. And if you trace it all the way back, you will trace it to a parent who consistently made promises and did not deliver. There are lots of reasons why a parent may not deliver on a promise, but a child might not really know those things, because most parents don't even go in detail to explain why some deadlines were not met and why some things were not done. Keep small promises. Even though you think they are small, they are not small. So no matter how small a promise is that you made, please do your best to keep it. So, number 7, being compared to someone else. Honestly, nobody likes this. Adults don't like it. You're at your place of work, you have a colleague. That job starts becoming unattractive the day your boss starts to compare you with that colleague. So you hear some parents say, why can't you be like your brother? Why can't you be like your sister? Why can't you be like your neighbor's child? Why can't you be like that classmate that takes the first position all the time? Why can't you be like this or that? It sounds like motivation, and for most parents that's the intention. But here's the truth about comparison. It tells a child that who they are right now is fundamentally insufficient, not good enough. It doesn't light a fire. However, it plants a seed of shame. And children who were frequently compared this way, they grow up either chasing a mirage, chasing a shadow, chasing an impossible standard that eventually exhausts them, burn them out, and then they see themselves trying to finally be enough, or they abandon the effort completely because most of the time they're on the path they shouldn't be, chasing and trying to get what they shouldn't even chase after. Because our paths are different. Every child just loves to feel unique and loved and seen that way, not a disappointed version of someone else, not a rough draft. Every child wants to see themselves as the real deal. It gives them confidence. It gave you confidence to know that your father or your mom saw you as the real deal, and your child is not different. Because whether you agree or not, every child is unique, special, amazing, and every child is a big deal. Every child uniquely is the real deal. Your child is him. Your child is whoever he thinks he is. So tell them who you think they are, and they will believe you. A child who was never celebrated at home will walk into every room as an adult desperately needing the crowd to clap, and they will destroy themselves trying to get that applause because they'll try too hard. So we're talking about number 8. Feeling chosen and celebrated. Feeling chosen and celebrated. Every child expects to be celebrated on their birthdays and some other special days. But now, not on their birthdays, not on any special day, but on a random Wednesday. When a parent says, "I saw this and I thought of you," or "I told everyone what you did today," and probably what they did was a nice thing, or simply, "I'm so glad you are mine." It goes a long way. Just imagine yourself hearing that from your father at age 10. The child feels something that no achievement, no award, no amount of praise from an outsider or a stranger can replicate. The feeling is just special, it's different. And the reason is this: they feel seen by the most influential and the most amazing person they know, the strongest, the richest, the most powerful and the most influential person they know. That is a morale booster. So being celebrated for who you are, not just what you achieve, is what builds genuine confidence in little children and even adults. It does. I'm sure you know it does. I'm not talking about the fragile kind that collapses under pressure, but the deep kind, the quiet kind, the kind that says, "I am enough." When an adult genuinely looks at himself and says, "I am enough," even in an empty room where nobody's watching. There's a reason why an adult can look at themselves and say they are enough and truly believe it. Not because they are motivating themselves, but because it's been imprinted in their spirit, in their minds, and in their souls that they are enough. And that's your job. You don't need to scream. You don't need to hit. The moment you went cold and silent after they opened up to you, you told them that their inner world was too much for people who were supposed to be close, people who were supposed to love them the most. This is number 9, the silence that said everything. Excuse me. Children are masterful at reading silence. They are very good at it. There are a lot of things children are good at, but when it comes to reading silence, they are impeccable. They are amazing. More masterful than most adults even realize. So when a parent goes quiet after a child has shared something with them, whether because maybe you were disappointed, maybe you were distracted, or you did it as a sign of dismissal, you leave a wound that words would never have done. You leave an impact that words would never have created in their heart and in their lives. That silence gets interpreted as rejection, as shame, as this part of me is not safe to share, as I don't think I want to share this next time, as this part of me is not required, it's not welcomed here. And children remember the exact moment a parent stopped responding to them. And they spend the rest of their life deciding who is safe enough to let in based on that moment or those moments that they've actually taken note of and has constantly affected them over time. So when your child speaks to you, please, I know this can be very difficult, mostly for very busy parents who really need to work extra to put food on the table and get the house going. But try to look at them. Be there fully, because the alternative is a child who learns to carry everything alone. And I'm sure you know an adult today who tries to carry everything alone. Your child is not learning how to handle life's hardest moment from school, not from friends, not from the internet. Life happens, right? At work, at home, and in every other place, something hasn't gone well. They know because it shows. So number 10, a parent who stayed calm. In a child's world, the parent is the weather. And when you stay calm during their storm, during a failure, during an event that is not palatable, an event that you're not very proud of, their fear, their crisis, or an event similar to those, you become their proof that hard things can be survived without destruction, without chaos, without a reactional crisis. Now that calm is not weakness, it's not passivity, it's mostly very powerful. It's a powerful thing that a parent can offer a child who's watching to see how a human being handle pain, because you're their biggest model for what life should be. You're the biggest superhero, and they are taking note of how you're handling these situations. Because a child who grew up watching a parent stay calm doesn't panic when life gets hard. Most of these events, when it happens to them, it plays again in their head that, oh, my daddy was in this state 5 years ago. What did he do? He did A, B, C, D. And that becomes their new normal. They don't fall apart under pressure. They don't explode when things don't go their way, because they have an example. They've watched you. They've seen it happen. And you become the basics and the source from which they draw strength, because they will learn from watching you that it's possible, very possible, to hold yourself together. And that is a gift they will carry into every storm for the rest of their lives, because they will have to go through seasons where they experience storms of their own. You and how you've handled things and what you've taught them and what you've showed them become the foundation from where they will build their own confidence, tenacity, and resistance towards the challenges that life will bring to them, that's for sure. I would like to draw your attention to these 10 lists we just exhausted. None of them require money, none of them require perfection. What they require is even bigger than money and perfection. They require presence, they require honesty and courage. I'm talking about the courage to look at yourself clearly and decide to do better. I'd like to ask you something before you go, real quick. Now, which of this list of 10 got to you the most? Which one resonated more with you? I'm interested to know, because if it moved you, it means part of you is still that child who needed to hear it. And part of you is already becoming the parent your child needs you to be. If this video helped you in any way, please share it, not for the numbers, but for the parent in your life who is running out of time to hear this. Subscribe to Family Journey Online, subscribe to our channel, check out our blog, because this is just the beginning of the conversation.